Good afternoon, guys, and welcome to our recurring webinar series. I'm really excited to welcome back Christopher Filipiak, and he is an entrepreneur, and he was on the show a few weeks back talking about creating the life that you want, personal development, breaking down limiting beliefs, self-limiting concepts, and creating the life. So today he's got a fantastic presentation that he's going to share with the audience for a webinar, 7 Natural Lives to Create the Life That You Want. And I'm really happy to have him on. Chris, welcome.
Hey, Chris. Good to be back here and excited to go a little deeper on how to create the life you want. And one of the things that we talked about was this idea of metabolizing your feelings so you can create clarity on what it is you actually want and get back into your logic brain and make the decisions required to have what it is you want. So thanks for having me back, and looking forward to sharing with the audience today.
Yeah, take it away. And I'm really excited the audience is excited as well.
Yeah, awesome. As a reminder, my name is Christopher Filipiak. I run a boutique consulting firm out of Asheville, North Carolina, that works with CEOs to help them succeed at their own sales work. And my business really focuses on 3 things, which is mindset, revenue strategy, revenue operations, and supporting salespeople, CEOs with their own sales work. And I think we talked about some of that on the podcast earlier this week, and I wanted to expand on the mindset portion of this. And I was going to use the idea of the natural laws to be able to do that. And as part of that, really talk about how to better operate your body and what to do when uncomfortable feelings and emotions show up in your body. So we'll do that today. I want to start with this quote by Joseph Campbell, which is, Joseph says, "The privilege of a lifetime is being who you are." And I think we're all here. We're all on a hero's journey, if you will, to become the most authentic, highest version of ourselves as far as we can get in this lifetime. And learning the skill of the natural laws and also how to metabolize thoughts, feelings, emotions in your body is a skill that will allow you to become, or not to become, but share more of who you are and be more of who you are most consistently. So I want to start with this question. And I invite you to really think about this question, because it's a question that can change the course of your entire life. And it's actually one of the most important questions in a sales conversation. And the question is simply, what is it that I really want? What do I really want? And it may take some time to actually get to the truth of that, because most of us, when we were little children, aren't actually taught what it is that we really want. We're actually taught the opposite. That's not okay to have what we really want. I can remember when I was a child, my grandfather sat me down and they very explicitly taught me the difference between needs and a want. And he was like, "You need air and food. You want a puppy dog." And so he taught me that it wasn't okay for me to want actually what I want and desire. But I think if you can hold that as the starting point, we can start to see how that interacts with some of these natural laws. And the first law that I want to teach you is this law of cause and effect, which basically says that every cause has its effect and every effect has its cause. And our state of consciousness and what's going on in our body is first cause. And then there's a couple of subsidiary laws that I get more into when I work with my clients around sales. The first is the law of psychological reciprocity and the law of reflection. And both of these are super important when you think about the energy that you're putting out of your body, and also understanding that what is going on internal to you is what's showing up external to you as your results, your circumstance, and your environment. So when we think about the law of cause and effect, I like to think of it, again, mapped out here. Every effect has a cause and every cause has an effect. So what you want to understand is what the effect is, what it is you want, right? And once you're clear on what it is that you want, you can look at the causes of that. And those causes are going to be, I think there are three basic skills. I think it's your mindset skill, it's your strategy and tactics, and it's your activity. And the one that I want to talk about today is really your mindset, okay? Because that's where we learn to feel our feelings and operate our thoughts, operate our feelings, and operate our bodies in a way that allows us to create what it is that we actually do want. I'll share this with you all. So what we're going to do is I'm going to share some information with you, and then I'm going to share a couple of techniques for actually feeling your feelings and metabolizing the emotion, the feelings, the trauma that actually gets trapped in our nervous system that creates confusion, because the thoughts in our mind and the feelings in our body create each other. So our feelings in our body can actually affect our thoughts, and the thoughts in our mind can determine our feelings. A quick example that I do with that is I have my clients like think of their favorite restaurant, right? Think of their favorite dish and take them through an exercise to the point where they start to salivate and feel happy in their body. Everyone I've ever done this has been able to do this successfully. And so it's okay, cool. You thought some thoughts in your mind and you feel some things in your body. So that's proof that your thoughts determine your feelings. And then what you can do in the opposite direction is you can pick a feeling like fear, right? So feel fear in your body. And if you start to generate fear in your body, you'll have thoughts and stories. Maybe it's of ghosts or monsters. And so that's feeling in your body, determining the thoughts in your mind. And just understanding that is one of the mindset skills that allows you to quickly and efficiently create what it is you want. Okay. When it comes to mindset, there's a couple of things to understand. The first is that when you were a little child or a little baby, from age 0 to 7, you came into the world with physical DNA and spiritual DNA, and as a whole, perfect and good human. And then your environment, your parents, school, society, religion started installing the original operating system into your subconscious mind, because from age 0 to 7, we don't actually have a conscious mind. So everything just filters in an empty vessel and starts to set up and create the foundation for how we go through life. And then as we develop and continue to grow and experience, we start to add layers of feeling and into who we're being and the results that we're creating. But ultimately, it's that initial subconscious programming and those initial beliefs that determine a lot of the results that we have. And those beliefs have feeling and emotion attached to them. And what's so hard about change and growth is that you have to go in and you have to do the inner work required to metabolize, to move, to do the body work, so that those feelings that are in your nervous system aren't controlling the thoughts in your mind, so you can learn some new thoughts, have some new feelings, and create a different result in your mind. So if that makes sense, if that's starting to make sense, give me a thumbs up on that. The other piece is that we have trauma every day, right? So basically the definition of trauma is where we get more information or experience into our mind than our brain can process. Okay. So we have all this information coming at us, all these scenarios that don't have any meaning in and of themselves, but they come in, and if our brain can't process it in real time, it ends up going into a trauma response, and those traumas get stored in our nervous system. And again, if those traumas are in our nervous system, they show up as body sensations, feeling, and emotion. And because of that's what's in our body, that will drive the thoughts that we're thinking. And those two things together create the results that we're having. that we end up creating. So having the ability to help your body metabolize the trauma, which we talked about, Chris, is actually super important. I think your previous guest talked about that a little bit too. Just know that's a super important skill. So whether you notice yourself being emotional, having body sensations, being triggered, being in resistance, being stuck, stopping, or not creating the result that you want, you know that it's important. That can be some awareness that says, hey, there's something going on that I need to take care of. It needs some skills around to take care of. So I'm going to give you 3 skills today to help you actually metabolize what's happening in your body so that you can allow yourself to bring in new information and think different thoughts and take different actions, which you can't actually do if you're in a trigger. This is why doing this is so important. When you're angry, you're fearful, shame, guilt, you're in a core wound, you can't actually think rationally or logically. So you need a way to get yourself out of that emotional state and kick yourself back up into your logic brain. The simplest way to do it is just to notice that you are, I'll say, triggered, or that there's an excess of emotion. And it's to take a minute and find where that feeling is in your body. Okay. Like whether you're happy or angry or sad or in disgust or you're in fear, it's going, oh, I noticed that I'm afraid. Right now I'm afraid because I don't have enough revenue this month, or I have to do calls, or I'm afraid that someone's going to reject me. So where is that in your body? Is it in your stomach? Is it in your hips? Is it in your neck? Is it in your face? And start to tune in to what that feels like in your body. Does it have a color? Does it have a motion? Does it have a size? Does it have temperature? And start to actually feel and notice what that feels like in your body, and stay with that feeling until your body actually lets go of that. Your body will process that emotion if you give it space to do. You see this in nature all the time, where the rabbit has just been about eaten by the fox, right? Or the wolf, and the rabbit gets away. What it does is it shakes its body off, right? It like shimmies, and that's that rabbit's body moving that fear and that adrenaline out of, and that trauma out of its system, and then it just goes on with its day. Humans can do the same thing. We just forget how to do that. I just call that feeling our feelings. And again, that's a mindset and body skill that you should absolutely learn. The second way to do it is with EFT tapping, right? Where you can tap at these different points in your body: top of the head, inner eye, temple, choom, boom, right here, under here. And there's some specific language where you are giving voice to whatever's going on. I'm so frustrated with what's happening with my day. I'm so overwhelmed with this. I'm scared of this. I'm angry. I'm happy. And as you're tapping, right, you give voice, and that allows your body to metabolize that. And then you can back that up and bring in some different truths, something like, I deeply love and honor myself. I deeply love and trust myself. And again, that if you do that, it will move that energy so that you can come back into logic brain, have some new thoughts, and think through what it is you actually want and how to move forward on that. The last thing is genius frequency methodology, which works with the elements and a series of breaths. So it works with the earth, water, fire, mineral, air, and nature elements that all of us have that are part of our code as humans. Like, we came from the elements, and those elements are still within us. And it's about working with those elements with some different breaths. So like, center of the heart is mineral, the throat is air. You find those different points on the body, and a genius frequency practitioner can take you through those points in a very short amount of time and help you metabolize the feeling, the trauma, the emotion. So that those are the three ways to metabolize what's going on. Just feeling your feelings, EFT tapping, and genius frequency methodologies. And I think as you do that, once you're back into kind of your logic brain, that's going to allow you to bring in some new thoughts, right? Attach those thoughts to different feelings in your body, faith and gratitude, positive expectation. And once you do that, if you're taking action from that place, so the number 3 activity here, you're going to create a different result. And that new result will start to change your beliefs or knowledge. And that's essentially how you reprogram your brain. So you go from a place of not creating what you want, dealing with the emotion and what's showing up in your body, taking care of your body, getting yourself back into your logic brain, having some new thoughts, some new ideas, taking some different actions, creating a new result, and reprogramming essentially your beliefs that you picked up as a child from age 0 to 7. That's how that works. And that is what is going to allow you to actually create what it is you want. Some of these other laws, which I'll just briefly go through here, can help once you move the trauma or the resistance or the feelings and you metabolize that, you can start to go back to some of these natural laws, which can help you think in more of the truth. Awareness of these laws are a mindset skill. Knowledge of them is a cause, right? And this helps you create the effect you want. And all of these are interconnected to help us actually see the truth. Second one is perpetual transmutation of energy. I'm just going to go through these quickly so we can pop off by the top of the hour. But this basically says everything is moving from a non-form to form and back again. And all the knowledge in the universe is available to us all the time. Vibration, okay? This is what we talked about. How we think determines how we feel, and how we feel determines how we think. And that allows us to perceive or not see the opportunities in front of us. And when we act on those opportunities, that will create the result, okay? Polarity, that just says plus, minus, up, down, left, right, inside, outside, yin and yang. Relativity, basically nothing is big or small unless we compare it to something, okay? And comparisons can create a sense of a lack. This shows up big time in sales and around money. Gender, everything is masculine and feminine and also has a gestation period. We are the spiritual seed for our ideas, right? And so the more we can change and grow, the faster we can actually create the results that we want. And again, the better we get at the skill of mindset, learning how to feel our feelings and metabolize whatever traumas are showing up is part of that change and growth process. And then rhythm, basically everything has a season, and understanding that flow helps us create what it is we want. And when you apply these 7 universal laws and develop the skills of cause and effect, you'll be able to create really any life that you want, any result that you want really quickly. That's what I have for you today. Chris, thank you so much for having me here today. And if anyone on the webinar wants to chat more about some of those skills or those techniques that I offered around feeling your feelings, EFT, or genius frequency methodologies, I'd be happy to chat more with you about those things.
Yeah. Fantastic presentation. And I think the audience, one question from the audience would be, what is, like, someone who holds on to grudges, why are they holding on to grudges? Why are they so heavy? What's wrong with their process in processing emotions?
Yeah, so that grudge, that emotion is in their body, okay?
Yeah.
So it's stuck in their body, right? And then they think thoughts. Their body is like, oh, I have a grudge. And then they're thinking about the person that they have a grudge of. And then that thought gets trapped back into their body. And those things too, like they just interact with each other, right? And you have to do it at the body level. You can't just think thoughts, right?
Mhm.
It's like you're holding a grudge because you haven't actually felt the emotions, the anger, the betrayal, right? The pain, the discomfort. Then that stuff's in your body. And so you have to feel that. And then you can bring in some more heady, some more logical things like, oh, I need to learn some skills about forgiveness, right? Or personal responsibility. But until you do the feeling work, you can't get yourself to gratitude and forgiveness and personal responsibility, right?
Oh,
Because it's stuck in your body. So
interesting.
does that help? I
Yeah.
love the question. Sure.
Yeah. And then another question from the audience is because you had that slide with mindset and then you had strategy, tactics, and activity. How do strategy tactics differ from activity? How are those two different?
Yeah. So you can think of it. So let's say the easiest way I think of it is, let's say you want to get stronger and lose weight. Okay. So the mindset is being clear about what it is you want, like how much stronger, what do you want, and doing the inner work to get rid of any shame, guilt, like self-judgment. The
Yeah.
strategy and tactic could be yoga, running, rucking, going to the gym, canoeing, dancing. It could be any of those things. So that's it could be eating pizza. Like it could be making sales. Some of those probably won't get you to your result. They're the wrong strategy and tactic. But let's say it's like hiring a coach. Your strategy and tactic is hiring a coach and going to the gym, right? That's your strategy and your strategy and tactic. The activity piece is actually doing those things. And as we all know, we all have good ideas and good strategies and tactics. But sometimes if we don't go to the gym every day, or we only go once a month, then if we're not going to get the results. So the activity piece is basically doing the strategy and tactic. And we know that learning how to do consistently is its own skill set.
Yeah.
Make sense? Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks so much for coming on, and the webinar links and all the Christopher's resources will be in the show notes. And again, thanks so much, and keep up the great work.
Yeah. Thanks, Chris. It was a pleasure as always. I hope it was helpful to your audience, and I'll see you all soon. Bye.